Welcome to Sports Connection. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director, and as our audience already knows, this show is otherworldly, and my co-host Tate Mathews is also out of this world. Tate, welcome back to the show. We're back to Zoom. What's been going on this past week?
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I believe the last time we did Zoom, it was otherworldly as well. So coming from you from a non-disclosed location, but as you know, the show must go on. So Sports Connection, we're live every week. We don't miss. So glad to be here. What's going on? Hey, real quick, what'd you think about the Masters?
Well, I thought it was I thought the level of play was maybe a little disappointing on Sunday. Nobody made a big charge, but good for Japan, good for Hideki. I thought that was pretty exciting, pretty fun there.
Yeah, he seemed like a guy I could cheer for. I like the way he handled himself.
Yeah, and I liked, it's interesting. Not that this is what the viewers are wanting to hear, but I was fortunate enough several years ago when I was at Beach High School to travel to Japan as part of a school trip. My wife and I went on a trip with some students there from Beach and Hendersonville. We had a sister school in Katsura, Japan. And his personality, his humility, I recognized that from that trip we were on. Very much, it's about the team, it's about other people. And I could definitely see that through his interpreter, obviously. The other thing is this, and I would bet money on this. I can assure you, his English speaking skills are way better than ours would be speaking another language. But what happens a lot of times, again, it goes back to that humility and confidence. I'm going to guess that he maybe feels a little shy about speaking English, but you noticed in the interview, he understood the questions.
Right. Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. I bet his English is like way better than our Spanish. I had 2 years of Spanish at the college level, and I couldn't hardly tell you anything right now.
Rojo.
I do know Pig Latin, though. I don't know.
That's impressive.
I don't know if that counts.
Man of many talents.
All right, Tate, let's talk about this before we get to some scores. I was very excited to be invited to the Anchors Away showcase yesterday. At the taping of the show, it was yesterday at Franklin High School. Showcasing some talented cheerleaders. Shannon Friend, the coach at Franklin High School, organized the event. Coach Hankins at Summit's going to also have a cheerleading combine that I know you're a part of there with Mathews Team Sport and Adidas in terms of sponsoring that. The point is this. I always say some good things came out of COVID. The bad news was TSSAA and really the governor's office, not TSSAA, said, hey, cheerleaders can't be at the games. As a result of that, coaches like Shannon out there at Franklin, Coach Hankins out there at Summit, they said, hey, how can we showcase some of these talented cheerleaders? And these events came about. And I'm going to tell you, Tate, we ought to keep them going forward because they're great events.
I agree. I was going to say that. And I think they will. I think that, there's a lot of work that goes into it, but it's always more the first time you do it. Right now, we've got the blueprint and we know what we want to change and what we want to keep. And I agree with you, man. I think it's a great event. I think it was very beneficial, and I think it's something that we will see in the years to come. And as we know, we've got a lot of really good cheerleaders, a lot of athletic young ladies participating in it. A lot of them go on to college to continue their cheer career. So I think it's something that will do nothing but grow.
Well, and, you look back at our Miss Kirby out there from Summit last year, who was our cheerleader of the year at the Wilcos. That's an athlete, right?
Yes.
Cheers at MTSU now. So very much, I think the days of folks saying, oh, isn't that neat? They're over there cheering on them. These are very athletic young ladies and young men who are also involved in cheerleading.
No doubt about it. Just go watch them. The competition cheer, go watch that. And you'll figure out pretty quick how many guys on the football team, basketball team, wrestling team, baseball team can do a back handspring. I can tell you, not very many.
I know Skylar Coffee can.
Yeah, well, and he is a freak. He's a unicorn. So there you go. How many Scholar Coffees you got running around?
Not many. Not many. Hey, let's talk about this. This was exciting too. The Middle Tennessee Wrestling Officials Association came up with their dream team. We had 3 young men recognized from Summit: Jackson Masters from Page, Mitchell Lambert, Alex Abels from Centennial, and then the Ralph Brewer Award for Coach of the Year, Bubba Derrick from Fairview High School. Tate, I don't know if we were able to find that research, but I'm assuming Ralph Brewer, since it's an officials award, probably had some kind of connection with wrestling officiating at some point in time.
Yeah, I would think so. I wasn't able to get it, but I will have it for next week. But really cool, man. Bottom line is that's who it's named after. It's for the coach of the year, and we've talked a lot about it. But Coach Derrick was a wrestler, grew up a wrestler, was wrestling's in his blood. And so I know there's been a lot of honors this year. The state championship, obviously, you can't top that. But to be awarded the coach of the year, I know everybody's very excited when they win it. I guarantee you he was very humbled, very appreciative, and meant a lot to him. I'm glad because it's well-deserved. And again, it's a guy who truly, truly appreciated it.
Well, and it's interesting how when you talk about these postseason awards, I read this about Magic Johnson, who I know you're a fan of, by the way, Tate Mathews.
Yes.
He said it's interesting. I used to share this quote with guys on my teams. It's interesting when you focus on the team, individual accomplishments and awards naturally follow. That's a great quote, by the way.
Great quote. And it's a team sport, right? So why wouldn't that be the way that it happens? And yes, Magic, very wise man.
Hey, let's talk about this. This is exciting. This is coming up this week. College football commitment. It's big because these are great players, but it's also big because they're, I'm assuming, going to commit together. Destin and Keaton Wade of Summit making their football commitment later on this week. It's down to Tennessee, Kentucky, Louisville, and Virginia. I'm going to guess, honestly, it's down to Kentucky and Tennessee would be my guess. And Tate, listen, I got a feeling we're both hoping something a little bit different. I'm wanting Big Blue. I got a feeling you're wanting Big Orange.
BBN, Big Blue Nation versus the Big Orange Nation. I agree. I think it's down to those two. I think you're probably going to be a little happier than I am, but that's okay. I'm a Mike Stoops fan, not Mike. What's his name? What's the younger one's name?
Well, Mark Stoops. Mike's the brother.
Billy Stoops. Oh, Mark Stoops. Yeah, got it. Mark Stoops. Excuse me. I'm just kidding. I'm a Mark Stoops fan, but I think this is pretty cool. Obviously, we've had some big time signees, right? Van Jefferson was a big deal, and then not only just in the county, but in the mid-state. We've had some big time signees. I don't ever remember having a pair of twins, a set of twins. They're both Power 5 guys. It's either going to be SEC or ACC, right? It looks like. So I don't ever remember anything like this. This is pretty neat, man. This is a big signing or a big announcement of where they're committing to. So I'm excited to see where it lands. I think it's a Kentucky-Tennessee race. I think Kentucky's in the lead right now coming on the back stretch. But being the horse racing fan that you are, a lot can happen on the back stretch.
Well, even after you commit, right? Although I feel pretty strongly that unless something happens with coaching changes and that kind of thing, that the Wades, once they commit, they're probably going to stick with that. But again, things can happen. And something else I wanted to point out, and I appreciate this about him, and it's true of some other coaches too, but Coach Coleman, I've been talking to Coach Coleman. And this was even 2 weeks ago. He's wanting to make sure he's got the proper backdrops out there with the proper logos on it. Hey, he does a good job of more than just being on the field coaching. Does a great job, or he did a great job with that ring ceremony out there with the good folks at Balfour and Josh Houston, obviously. And he did like me. Coach Coleman said, let's get the biggest ring available, please. I want to make sure. I think if he could have, he would have had one that like stretched over 2 or 3 fingers, which I get it, man. I'd do that too.
Yeah, no doubt about it. He does a great job with it, and it's been fun to watch him grow. I would think it's probably like your early days at Beach, but when he got to Summit, he'd only been a head football coach 1 year at Forest, and he was just trying to learn how to run the club, right? How to coach football, and now what he does is he runs a program, and it's one of the best programs in the state, and it's been fun to watch him grow as a head coach, because that's what he's doing now. He's running a program, and you're right. He doesn't miss any piece of the branding part. I know the former athletic director loves that. The current athletic director loves that. And he learned from 2 of the best without a doubt. But that's going to be a fun thing. Where do you think Josh Houston wants the boys to go, the twins to go?
I would say the University of Tennessee, but I'm hoping you and old Josh end up disappointed.
Good chance.
Hey, Tate, something else that was announced this week. We were sad to lose Coach Miles Thrash as the girls coach out at Brentwood High School, did a great job out there, but being replaced by assistant coach Marcel Williams, which, by the way, Tate, not Tate's, there's only one of them, leads us to this week's gem. Coach Williams played his last year of high school basketball at Ocoee High School in Florida for Coach Greg Shirley, not only of WCS, but more specifically of Brentwood High School. That's a heck of a gem now, Tate.
That is a gem. That's up there. That's top 10 for sure. Is that why he's here? Do we know that, or is that just coincidence? Did Coach Shirley know him and recommended him, or?
I'm not sure about that. I do know he was at Austin Peay from 2007 to 11, so I'm sure being in the area, that was part of it. Certainly, I wouldn't think that Coach Shirley connection hurt him because I noticed in the article in the paper that that was talked about. Coach Shirley was asked some questions about him. So that relationship, I'm sure, wasn't something that was seen as a negative, but only a positive.
Yeah, without a doubt. And Coach Blair and Mr. Cadell took all of about 5 minutes. They knew what they were going to do. And so congratulations to him. And hey, man, I was looking at it this weekend. Coach Thrash, 98 wins in 4 years. That's a heck of a run right there. Yeah, big shoes to fill, but I think he's up to it.
Yeah, we hate to lose him. The thing we got to do, and you know me, Tate, I'm obviously very pro WCS. I want our schools to succeed more than any schools, but you got to also have a human side too, and just understand. Sometimes people make decisions for their families, whatever that decision is based on, but I respect that. I talked to Coach Thrash. Again, great relationship with him, and who knows, maybe we can get him back here at one time or later on down the line, but certainly he did a great job there replacing a legend, Coach Ronnie Sigenthaler.
No doubt. Well said.
Hey, let's talk a little baseball. Starting to shape up. Ravenwood still 6-0 undefeated. Summit 7-1. Brentwood 5-1. Independence 5-3. From there, no one has more than 3 wins. So I think that top 4 is looking pretty solid. Here's one thing I would tell you though. Ravenwood, who again, great start for Coach Bourne and Ravenwood, but they still have series against Brentwood, Independence, and Summit. So they haven't played any of the other 3 top 4 teams. So there's a lot to really be said with what's going to happen, but certainly a great start there for Coach Bourne and Ravenwood.
Yeah, agreed. And the Summit and Brentwood split, you're seeing a lot of that. So you got to think they haven't faced their toughest competition yet, but got a nice win against Mount Juliet, who Mount Juliet's ranked in the top 10 in the mid-state. Now, for what that's worth, they're ranked in the top 10 in the mid-state right now. Bottom line is that's a really good win. He went down to his alma mater, or they came up against his alma mater, Marshall County, always a power in AA. Nolensville knows that, and got some nice wins. So nice quality wins. Yeah, I'm very interested. I'll know where, or we will know where they are after they see Brentwood at Summit. But definitely a 3-man race right now. And Independence, like we thought, is going to be that 4th team who can make some noise. But it's starting to shuffle out exactly like we thought it would.
Well, speaking of Ravenwood, and I know you mentioned this last week about the number of runs they're scoring. They had a 12-4 win over Centennial last week. They had a 7-run third inning. Ben Severance goes 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs. Blake Bevis with a home run. Centennial, Ben Brown, Jason Bennett, Jack Scully, all with 2 hits. But again, that's something you had mentioned. That Ravenwood offense, pretty tough to deal with.
Pretty tough to deal with, and if you're, especially as we mentioned in those series, if you're not throwing your number one guy, there's a lot of parity now in the arms. You're not throwing your number one guy when you get up against Ravenwood. They could, you start putting 2 double digits on the total runs scored, you're going to win a lot of games.
No doubt about that. Hey, let's talk about the opposite. Tate, how about Will Tobin for Independence? How about that outing he had?
He's had several big outings, but yes, the one he just had was very impressive. And I believe, is this correct? Is this his first year on the mound as a starting pitcher? Goes out and throws a no-hitter, 9 strikeouts, 1 walk over 7 innings. Stud.
Well, and at the plate too. Hey, Will, if you don't mind, let's throw a no-hitter. And then why don't you turn around and go 1 for 3 and score the only run of the game? Cooper Hargrove's going to drive you in. If you don't mind, Will, can you take care of that? Sure, Coach, no problem. I'll do that. That's pretty impressive night for Will.
I'm gonna channel my inner Robert Hassel and go out there and take care of that for you, Coach.
An interesting stat about Hassel, I think we might have talked about this last year. Never got to do this. His final year, Hassel led off every season with a home run. His freshman year, his sophomore year, his junior year, he hits leadoff and hits a home run to start the season.
That would have been a good gem.
That's kind of a next level gem right there.
It's a bonus gem. Subscribers only, premium content.
Hey, Franklin High School. I know Coach Whidbey and Franklin, he's been talking about, hey, we're right there. They go out and get a big 7-2 win over Page. They had 11 hits, 2 hits apiece for Joseph Water, Carson Garner, Noah Yamas, Alex Eisenbeck. Waters and Daniel Sherman both drive in 2 runs each. On the Page side, Easton Snyder, 1 for 2, scored 2 runs. So that was a big win for Franklin. Page did turn around and win the second game 4-3, but good for Coach Whidbey and Franklin to get off the schneid, so to speak.
Yeah, seems like the recipe for Franklin to win their games is going to be the bats, and the games that they score, over 4, 5, 6 runs, they got a really good chance. The low score ones don't seem to be going their way, but when they are, like you mentioned, the 11 hits, when the bats are hot, they're hot. And then that second win by Page, Coach Rutan and them really needed that one. That was a big win in that second game of that series.
Nolensville with a 4-3 win in 10 innings over Community. They sweep the series. They also had an 11-0 win. Ethan McIlvain with a 1-hitter in that game. 13 strikeouts. Eric Harper, Ethan Seiling, and McIlvain all had doubles. Derek Stamen gets the win in the second game versus Community. Summit with the 10-6 win over Spring Hill. They get the sweep after, oh, by the way, I meant to say they swept Independence. We were talking about this game last week being a big deal. In game 2 of that series, a 13-inning win for Summit, 2-1. Drew Plummer, Austin Kincaid, Garrett Sims all had 2 hits. Alex Runk, 4 RBIs. That was the Spring Hill game. But I did want to mention that Independence game because we talked about it last week. That really inches Coach Kirby and Summit really out ahead of Independence because they beat them twice.
That's right. And they've already played Brentwood too. So yes, I think they really have the nod right now. I think they sit the best right now because, like you mentioned, they've played 2 of their tougher series of the season so far. So, hey, and I want to make sure McIlvain, you mentioned that 1-hitter Monday against Community. There's something to Mondays in him. That's the second straight Monday 1-hitter he's thrown. 13 strikeouts against Community. The Monday before, he threw a one-hitter against Marshall County. I think he had 18 strikeouts. So Monday's not a good day to face McIlvain.
Coach Hudson, make sure you get that schedule right, get the teams you want to beat on Monday, and send him out to the hill. Listen.
I got this.
Hey, listen, I don't want to put any pressure. I know our good friends out at Summit, Coach Kirby and Coach Coleman. I know he watches every week, so he'll probably be relaying this. But I know we keep talking Summit, Brentwood. I'm telling you, I'm thinking it's old Sparty right now. I know there's a lot of baseball to be played. Coach Bourne in Ravenwood would be disappointed to hear me say that, I believe. But,
is that Coach Coleman calling you right now?
I don't know what's going on. Maybe you got a cell tower ping out there where you're located. I don't know what's going on here.
I'm FaceTiming him. You just can't see it.
Hey, but I'm telling you, I'm feeling Summit to win the league.
Well, it's hard to go against Coach Curb. I'm usually the guy that picks Coach Curb. But I'm telling you now, Brentwood, if you talk to the coaches off the record, they tell you they think it's a Brentwood Summit race. So they would be with you, director of athletics. But I'm telling you, I really like what Coach Bourne's got going on at Wilson Pike. And I think that, yes, they still have series with the big three, but I think they got something special going on. So I'm leaning towards the Raptors. But betting against Coach Kirby, that's not usually a very good idea. But I like the Raptors.
Well, Coach Kirby, you'll get him all fired up. He'll be a motivated and shunned and scorned Coach Kirby is not a good thing now.
That's right. And Miss Kirby will be mad too. Mrs. Kirby. But that's okay.
Let's talk Fairview. Fairview playing some pretty good baseball. 14-5 win over McEwen. They were coming off an 11-1 loss to Nolensville, but Peyton Hughes gets the win out there on the hill for Fairviews. Zach Lampley goes 4 for 4 with 3 runs scored, a couple RBIs. Hunter Davis, Eli Hall with 3 hits apiece. Lane Howell, Morgan Jean with 2 hits. Playing some pretty good baseball at Fairview too.
Yep, nice bats. And talk about maximizing your opportunities. That's one thing about baseball. You're only going to get so many at bats. You're only going to get so many touches in the field. Zach Lampley definitely maximized. He made the most of his opportunities the other day.
Nico Gregali, it's interesting. Coach is in year 2, but he's really kind of in year 1.
Correct. Because of the 2-game season last year.
Yeah, that's it. So I've talked to him, quite a bit. He's doing a good job. I think that's been a great hire for Fairview.
Yeah. He's brought a lot of enthusiasm to the program. And if we have an all-name team, he's got to be the front runner right now. That's a good baseball name, man.
It kind of just rolled off my tongue.
It just rolled off. That's right. Yeah.
Hey, let's talk a little bit of softball. Ravenwood gets a 2-1 win over Page. Avery Westmer, we keep hearing that name. She throws a 2-hitter. She also went 3 for 3 from the plate with an RBI. Big game for her. And Franklin, I'm telling you now, Coach Whidbey, they're doing a good job out there. 3-2 win over Summit in 8 innings. But then Coach Serban, who's doing a good job at Centennial, they beat Franklin 4-3. They also had a 9-7 win over Lebanon. Michaela Cox with a game-winning home run, the first of her career. So Franklin and Centennial, you've been talking about the parity in softball. I think a lot of that has to do with the play of Franklin and Centennial.
No doubt about it. They've both really upped their level, and so happy for what Coach Serban's doing over at Centennial. We've talked about it. They needed some stability, so much turnover in the past decade, right? You need somebody to be there for 3-4 years in a row, and you're starting to see the fruits of his labor pay off. And then you talk about Coach Whidbey and the Lady Admirals sitting there at number 2. I don't think a lot of people saw that, but that's they're playing really, really well. And then all you need to know is Franklin gets the win over Summit. That just shows you how even these teams are, because softball's not like baseball. It's not like you well, maybe we weren't facing their one or two pitcher. They're all getting their best shot of each of them every game. So a lot of parity. A little bit worrisome about Dixon County sitting there at 5-0. They might be pretty good this year. You hear the other coaches talk about them; they think they are, but I would like to see that gap close a little bit. They're starting to extend the lead.
Fairview and Coach Jones with an 11-1 win over Overton. Freshman Addie Sullivan with her first career home run. Nolensville playing well. 7-1 win over Hume Fogg. 4-0 over Father Ryan. Avery Patton with the wins. Paige Dickinson, who's been hitting the ball great for Nolensville. A couple of RBIs in the Hume Fogg wins. So those are a couple of teams that had some nice wins this past week. Let's talk a little
soccer. Always like to see somebody hitting their first home run. Go ahead.
Let's talk a little soccer. Brentwood continuing to roll. 7-0 win over Summit. Ollie Joyner keeps playing well for them. 3 goals, 2 assists. Grant Cho, Cooper Bailey, Ryan Hayes, Connor Greer, all with goals. Logan Stegall with another shutout. And here's one that got my attention, Tate. Franklin 8-0 over Hendersonville. Let's don't act like Hendersonville's not a mid-state power. Shun Watkasuki, 4 goals and an assist for Franklin. Franklin, listen, one of the things that the soccer novices would say, hey, we need more goal scoring. I don't understand the game. Well, if you don't know what's going on in soccer, go watch Franklin. They've scored 25 goals in 4 games. Pretty good start for Coach Burgoyne and Franklin.
No doubt. And Brentwood and Franklin are there. It's a 2-horse race right now. You mentioned those 25 goals in 4 games. That's the equivalency. I mean, that's the equivalent of scoring 50 points a game in football, averaging 85 points a game in basketball. That is run and gun, whatever you want to call it, man. That's big time offense. And you mentioned Shun and then also Shun, also Ollie. You score 3 goals and 2 assists in a game, and that's against Summit. That's an 11 AAA opponent. 4 goals and assists against Hendersonville. Now, Coach Plummer's not there anymore, Coach Jones.
Right, that's
still
right.
One of the top mid-state programs. And, I mean, that's like scoring 4 or 5 touchdowns in a game. That's like hitting 6 threes. That's big time.
Well, those were big shoes to fill, Coach Plummer leaving. But I'm assuming that Hendersonville program hadn't totally bottomed out since he left. I know Station Camp has stepped up over there in that district. Beach also done well over there in Sumner County. Hey, let's finish this thing up. We got a little track and tennis to talk. The Wilco Championships in track, Brentwood's girls with the win, but just barely over Nolensville, 108.5. Ravenwood finishes 3rd, Franklin 4th, Indy 5th, Fairview 6th, Page 7th, Summit 8th, Centennial 9th. A couple of highlights. Anaya Midget from Nolensville, she wins the 100. She finishes runner-up to the winner of the 200. Elisa Arcava, they kind of switched. Arcava wins the 200. Midget's the runner-up. Midget wins the 100. Arcava is the runner-up. And, oh, by the way, Anaya, go out and win the long jump and triple jump if you don't mind. And she did.
Strong. It's a lot like we're seeing that a lot, right? This year, the jumpers, there's obviously something that translates with those and the sprinters, right? We've seen a lot of that so far this year. So yeah, you go out and you get second in one and win the other one, and then you go out and win the jumps. Explosive, fast twitch, pretty neat. And that's, we talked about that. That's what's been cool. We've always dominated the middle to long distances here in Williamson County, but now we've got some explosive athletes on the ladies and the men's side. We're competing and winning the 100 and 200. We're winning the jumps. We're going to make a lot of noise in the track and field world this year when it gets to Murfreesboro for sure.
Leah Walters wins the 800 and 1600 from Page. Brentwood wins 3 of the 4 relays on the boys and girls side. They win all but the 200 on the girls side. Ravenwood wins that. On the boys' side, they finished second in the 4x100. Boys results: Franklin first, Nolensville second, Brentwood third, then Ravenwood 4, Indy 6, Fairview 7, Page 9, Summit 10, Centennial 11. Now, nothing against Nolensville and Franklin, but Tate, I don't know if you know this, didn't get to talk to Coach Brock or Coach Fedoris. Did Brentwood have all their competitors there? Because them, just barely skating by in the girls and finishing third in boys, that definitely got my attention.
Me too. I did not talk to him about it, but I would be very surprised if they had their full lineup there. Sounds to me like they let some other people, some younger runners run probably.
Which totally makes sense.
Right.
Lance Powell of Nolensville, hey, they're building a pretty nice little track program out there at Nolensville.
They sure are.
100 meters and the triple jump on the boys' side. So a great event for him. Again, the Wilco Championships out at Nolensville this past week.
Yep, great event. That's the neat thing about track. A lot of our sports, but you don't have to go very far to get some good competition in the track meets. And now we've had the Hartman relays where most of our guys were. You had the Williams County the Raptor Invitational that they had, and then the Wilco Championships over here at Nolensville. So very fun to watch them all compete. That's the good thing about it. You do well there, you got a pretty good chance to do well at the state track meet. But to your point, Nolensville is building a very nice track program.
Finally, let's talk a little tennis. Franklin, boys and girls, with a sweep over Centennial, 9-0. On the girls' side, 7-2. For the boys, they both clinch spots in the district postseason. Also, something that stood out to me to show you that Franklin's got a legit team. They get a 5-4 win over Brentwood, which was a big win. Lisa Messier, Ella Barr, Sophia Messier, Lucy Shantz, all with wins in singles, and the team of Messier and Marietta on the girls doubles to get that 5-4 win. Hey, that's a pretty big deal when you knock off Brentwood in tennis.
No doubt about it. And that program has been building for the past few years since Coach Lachette has been there. So that's a big win. They're going to have to do it again in the postseason when it really counts. I'm sure that's what Brentwood's banking on, but it'd be fun to watch. Hey, do they play their home matches at the Williamson County Rec Center?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen them out there. That's a good facility to get some good matches in over there.
It's a great place to play. As you know, Tate, I consider myself a decent recreational tennis player. I've played a few matches out there over the years.
Well, that was going to lead me to my question. How does your match Saturday morning go?
Well, I'm sure our viewers will be interested to know I'm playing a little local tennis league. And by the way, one of my teammates is Patrick Whitlock. He plays on that same team. We were rained out, so I'm happy to say I don't have to report any losses.
One-hand or two-handed backhand?
I go two-hand.
There you go. Power then. That tells me everything I need to know.
I'm not a big power guy, Tate. Listen, I was told early on, if you can count to 10 on the baseline rallies, you probably won't get to 10. So if you can get the ball in, shoot for 10. If you're focused on that, your opponent might mess it up before they get to 10. So I'm kind of I like the long points, I guess I would say.
Very smart. I like it. Maybe we could get some footage of it one day for the viewers.
No, we would go from the longest running WCTV program to maybe null and void over.
Well, fun to report on.
Tate, as always, great to see you. Looking forward to being back in the studio. And we always appreciate our viewers being here too. I know you're looking forward to being back in the studio as well.
Yeah, we'll be back next week. Hey, remember, spring practice starting here in a week or two. That's going to be fun as well.
And look for a big Wilco's announcement next week too, Tate.
Very excited about that.
We appreciate all the viewers being here, joining us for Sports Connection, and we'll see you next time.